How do you feel like this message is being carried forward? Do you think we're making progress, or is it still much slower than we would like?
I mean, in general, I'm an impatient person, so it's slower than I would want it to be. But is there progress? For sure. I've actually been very encouraged about the progress because you're getting more and more people seeing the benefits of these lifestyle choice adjusting their lifestyle choices. I've never in my career had more people approach me saying, "Hey, I want to eat healthier. I'm thinking about exercising more, and how can I achieve that?" I just feel like there's some momentum there, and even the latest changes to the food guide in terms of a food pyramid, in terms of emphasizing protein, minimizing processed food, that's awesome. Like that step alone is acknowledging that we had work to do and we that making these steps is important. I That to me is clear sign that progress is happening. So this is this is why I'm so excited to be in the space right now because we can make a difference and it will be significantly impactful.
Awesome. Yep, I love your optimism and enthusiasm about that. I was going to ask you about the nutritional recommendations. When the day it came out, I saw it on Twitter, X, and it looked so cartoonish. I thought it was like fake. I thought somebody had made it up or something. Like, this is going to be another South Park episode or something. And it turns out it was real. We talk about how the guidelines really impact places where we're feeding people. So, for example, prisons or schools, and in particular hospitals. So if you look at the picture of the reverse pyramid where it is now, you see a big giant steak on that top left. Like you're saying, dude, that is amazing, amazing, amazing progress. That there's even a picture of butter somewhere on there is like incredible. So I love that. When you read the guidelines, there's still like a cap on saturated fat, and there's a few things that probably didn't change as much as we would want to. What is your opinion about how the new guidelines might trickle down into where you will see it the most in your own hospitals?
That's a good question. I think all this will be slow as molasses. Like I think it's all this is going to be very slow to adopt, unfortunately. And I also think because of the politics of who and what administration is bringing this on board, there's going to be more antibodies and more resistance to make that change. And I hate this. I hate that because it should be about data and truth, not who delivers it, right? Like that's what it's all about. And I think I think some of this recommendations unfortunately are expensive relative to what we're doing in hospitals right now. My hospital has recently made a change to think of food as medicine. So they brought in one of our most esteemed chefs, Stephen Beckta, and he's developed a program where you're getting real food, high in protein, nothing processed, and really looking at ways that we could get our patients in a better state. And to me, this is super exciting. I'm hoping I'm hoping this will be the norm. This is I haven't seen it much in other places and other hospitals, but my faith is that once you start to hear those results, publish those results, normalize it, that it'll just trickle down to being the norm. And honestly, as patients, expressing like this is what we want, this is what we expect, not these, I don't know. Like I'll never forget one of the worst things I've ever seen walking into a room and I saw this guy with that was diabetic that had pureed French toast on his plate with and had the syrup and all this stuff. And I'm telling myself we could do better. We can do way better. It's
That's
not only
insane.
is the texture disgusting, but this is not
Yeah,
going to make
it
you
sounds pretty
heal.
gross.
It
I have
was awful.
That sounds pretty gross. I do have to say, anecdotally, in the last few months, and I will say in particular, in the last month or so since the new guidelines have come out, I'm noticing the word protein being advertised a lot more. Now, it's on a lot of crappy processed products. Like I saw protein Pop Tarts. So sorry, Kellogg's. We probably lost them as a potential sponsor of our show. But at the very least, that word is now it seems like it's getting out there a little bit more. I'm seeing less of like fat is a concern, cholesterol is a concern. I am seeing at least the very least protein being advertised on crappy foods and in restaurants. So that's at least, I think that's a step.
I, I've noticed this even before the guidelines. Like I did notice a more of an emphasis on it, and this is definitely good. This is definitely an important aspect because, as you can imagine, I'm all about 80-20. Like you're probably the same way about like what is the biggest lever that's going to give you the most impact, and the like protein leverage is huge. If you're able to amp up your protein intake, tons of things get better. Your blood sugar regulation, your lean, maintaining or increasing your lean muscle mass, increasing your basal metabolic rate. You're gonna burn more calories. You're gonna have more energy because you're not having those fluctuations in blood sugar. You're gonna crave less junk. You're just gonna be a better human, as far as I'm concerned, if you can optimize your protein. So I love the direction. I do giggle when I do see the protein marketing on crappy foods because often when you look at the protein, like the macros, like the protein to calorie ratio, that could be so bad. But honestly, at least we're going in the right direction overall, and people are recognizing that protein is important.
Yeah, I love that. Taking a little bit of a wider stance, when we look at the title of your book, Take Control of Your Health Through Nutrition, Movement, and Community. Did you put those in order for a reason? Do you think nutrition is the strongest lever of any that we can pull?
I think it is. And I think trying to out exercise a bad diet is very challenging. I think if you could really truly optimize the nutrition side of things, that's going to be your biggest lever for sure. And that's why I think, once again, if you could think about either your protein, if you think about your eating windows, if you think about reducing your processed food, whatever one makes the most sense for you, you're going to see some form of benefit.
Yeah, I agree. That's what I found in my career as well. If you get the protein right, for most people, everybody's a little bit different, but if you get the nutrition piece right, it seems like all the other things will then kind of fall in place a lot easier. I'm with you. If anybody asks me for one recommendation around food, I say get more protein. As much as I would love people to try, low carb or keto or go as far as I go as into carnivore, like that's great. But most people are so far below the threshold of the protein that they need in a day. What types of protein are you recommending for most people, and how much protein are you recommending that people get?
Great question. I am agnostic when it comes to protein. I because most people, as you mentioned, Casey, like they're not getting enough. So I don't want to overwhelm them with, hey, it's got to be X, Y, or Z. I just want you to focus on your protein intake in a way that's going to be enjoyable and suitable for your lifestyle. But if you're going to ask me what gives you your best bang for your buck, for sure, animal protein. Like that's my go-to, whether it's chicken, beef, leaner pork, uh, you name it. I'm game. The non-animal based stuff, I feel like it's less bioavailable and it's harder to get to your goals. But if you could hit it by doing it, absolutely. And then the other part is I ingest it often through whey powder or equivalent, and with the protein shakes, we started a company for that reason, so people could get a reliable source. And I wholeheartedly, I don't think it's better than eating real food, but if you can't get real food, like it's a nice option to have when you're on the go. Like even with a protein powder company, I'll probably only have 3 or 4 shakes a week, right? Like as opposed to having a daily or anything like that. But it's just another tool that people could add to try and get their goals. So agnostic, number one would be animal, number two would be plant-based, and then the number three would be getting it through like protein powder, etc.